Hi, it's Leaf. So, My Time at Evershine's Kickstarter campaign is going, well, better than anyone expected, I suppose. With a week still to go, we've already unlocked the $2 million stretch goal, and I think it's safe to say that with a very faithful and ever-growing group of fans of the two previous games, and all the new people intrigued by Evershine's pitch, the My Time series is gradually leaving its niche status. Of course, whether Evershine turns out to be a good game remains to be seen, especially since it partially abandons the tried and tested gameplay loop in favor of new ideas, but knowing what Pathia Games can do, I really don't expect anything bad, especially in the story department. The world and its lore are just getting detailed enough to become interesting, and the plot could really benefit from that. Everything in My Time at Evershine seems to reach further and higher than in previous games. The plot begins to seriously go beyond local events. The gameplay loop expands from managing your own workshop to not only managing but creating an entire town. We know there will be new mechanics like climbing, gliding, and swimming, so even moving is getting an upgrade. Characters are beautiful, environments lush and pretty, everything is looking very promising, and to say the fans are excited would be somewhat of an understatement. Now, we know that with a campaign this successful, and with all that excitement, come the expectations and new stretch goals. But stretch goals are promises, and it's relatively easy to overpromise, especially if you didn't expect such a feedback. And the devs admit they didn't. So with all that's already been promised, that 2026 spring release date might be a tad optimistic. On the other hand, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I mean, I hope I am. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's quickly go over all the stretch goals we've already reached. A backer shirt, flirting, a bathtub that will grant us buffs and most likely recharge our stamina, additional romantic interactions, a character from Portia or Sandrock visiting our settlement, swimming, hot springs location, a player-designed special pet, pajamas for core romanceable characters, 10 additional photo poses for core characters, that is 10 poses for each character, Logan and the Builder from Sandrock visiting our settlement, adjustable player character height, 1 additional core romance, bringing the total number of core romanceable characters to 9, and because we've reached 2 million, we'll also be able to customize our character's body shape and possibly apparent age. There's also already a list of new stretch goals based on a survey conducted, well, a while ago. If we reach $2,250,000, we will get 20 new outfits. And to be honest, this is something I voted for because I'm always unhappy with the outfit options. And if they make more, there's a chance I'll finally find something I like. Although, as a simple creature, I just want something entirely, or at least mostly, black, which for whatever reason seems to be impossible. Oh well. At $2.5 million, we will unlock Rival Romance, which means that among the non-core romanceable characters, there's gonna be at least 2 predetermined couples that will have a chance to form relationships during the course of the game, provided we don't actively stand in their way. Now, this one is not an official stretch goal, but Pathia did mention a few times that $2.5 million would also allow them to skip early access. It does mean that the game would be available to the public a bit later, yes, but it also means less waiting for the finished game in the long run. The devs would simply be able to focus fully on the game and not divide their attention between polishing the playable part and developing the rest. Early access brings more player feedback, that's true, but also requires more time. At $2,750,000, we're gonna be able to vote for yet another core romanceable character, bringing the total number to 10. And at $3 million, we're gonna get a zoo. And as a bonus, 5 additional side quests. I don't really care about the zoo, but 5 additional side quests would be nice. And if anyone by chance has a spare $8 million lying around, Pathia promises to remake My Time at Portia with the updated graphic style and all the quality of life improvements. Haha. Now, I don't care that much about the graphic style. I'm used to Portia looking like, well, Portia. But updating some of the mechanics would be nice. I just started a new playthrough and, oh boy, Sandrock really spoiled me. Anyway, back to Evershine. It does look ambitious. The prognosis based on average backer activity is very good. Currently, KickTrack estimates that the campaign can potentially raise almost 2.8 million. But in reality, everything slowed down a bit after 2 million, and I think that this could be as far as we go, which is still very impressive. We still might hit the next stretch goal, but even if we don't, I'm already happy with what we've got right now. I wouldn't mind those outfits, but it's not like I need them. The campaign has already reached all the goals I personally care about the most. So right now, I am already in my waiting mode. I just want this game. The main gameplay loop will be a bit different from what we know from 2 previous games. We will no longer be a new builder in town responsible for our own workshop and commissions, but the governor. We'll still be able to personally gather resources and build, which makes sense especially since we're going to be starting from scratch probably, but the growing settlement will soon require additional help. We are supposed to recruit NPCs and delegate, while remaining responsible for their well-being. There will be 2 types of recruitable characters, regular workers and named NPCs. And if I understand things correctly, which might not be the case, the named NPCs come with a very specific set of abilities, and at least some of them will probably hold special positions in town. For example, Tia is a researcher, so I suppose her role in the settlement will be similar to Cheese in Sandrock. Kang is a builder, so logically he'll probably be an equivalent of our own character from the previous games. And actually seeing someone else responsible for fixing everything could be rather satisfying. Now, our relationships with NPCs will influence their productivity. So the more they like us, the better they are at what they do. And I especially like this idea because I'm no completionist, and I tend to neglect NPCs I'm less interested in. And frankly, I believe I'm missing out, but I'm just too lazy. Now, I'm gonna have an actual and rather important reason to befriend everybody. We know that building is going to be one of the most important elements of this game. We have a town to build after all. It doesn't mean that we're gonna have to build every house by hand on our own. That's why we recruit other people, among other things. But we, as the governor, will have full control over the arrangement of buildings. The interior design in public establishments, like, for example, a restaurant, is most likely going to be very limited or outright fixed so that it doesn't interfere with plot triggers. But in our own home, just like in previous games, we will be able to do whatever we want. The building system is also supposed to be easier to understand and use, and apparently there's going to be more options. I gotta admit that I don't particularly like building in Sandrock. Not because I don't understand the system, but because building the exterior has potentially an unpredictable effect on the interior. I mean, it's predictable, but difficult to control because they are 2 separate cells. So we can't see the inside of the house while tweaking it from the outside. As a result, many items end up in the mailbox. And while it's a perfectly reasonable solution, having to place everything back is a bit daunting. Perfectly doable, of course, but I'm lazy. Therefore, I never really expanded my house too much, because every time I thought about it, I was instantly reminded that I am probably gonna have to place many of the interior decorations again, and I just couldn't be bothered. This time around, there won't be any loading screens as we enter buildings, or at least that's the plan. So we're gonna be able to tweak the exterior and the interior in one go, and that makes me very happy. However, that could introduce a whole lot of potential problems. Problems with plot triggers and prearranged cutscenes are one thing that the devs are keeping in mind. But if we don't have loading screens in the entire town, that means a lot of objects and NPCs loaded in, to some extent, at all times. And that'll require a lot of memory. Fully customizable settlement will also affect LODs and how the town is rendered from a distance in general and all that fun stuff that was not really a problem in previous games because everything, other than our house, had fixed placement and shape. Of course, it's absolutely doable, but still memory. And I'm very curious to see how they handle it, but I hope I will be able to play the game on my computer. Another thing that's significantly different compared to both Sandrock and Portia is, of course, character design, and also character customization. We're going to be able to customize our height and body shape, to some extent, and even the size of our head. Of course, this will also cause certain problems that have not existed in the series before. For example, our height will affect something as basic as camera angles during cutscenes, not to mention interacting with other characters like our love interests. because the animation needs to take all aspects of our size into account. Of course, this too is absolutely doable, but requires significantly more work than one predetermined body shape. In any case, as a game with a strong focus on general customization, building customization, body customization, customization of many types, if done right, My Time at Evershine has a chance to be a really unique and a very satisfying experience. Yes, the main storyline is gonna be shorter than in Sandrock, but if it's truly more or less the same length as My Time at Portia, we have nothing to worry about. Portia is not exactly short either. And Sandrock was one monster of a game, in my opinion, a tad too long and with a bit of anticlimactic ending. So I'm perfectly happy with a shorter story, provided it has a slightly better pacing. Not to mention, we can also expect more balanced stories for the core romanceable characters. The devs promised that every core romanceable NPC will have a story comparable to Logan's or Nia's when it comes to content. So, no more oversized sagas like Fang's, or completely overlooked characters like Owen. I personally didn't mind Fang having such a huge story, but I'm only saying that because he is my go-to love interest. The lack of balance was rather obvious. Not to mention Fang's story was virtually unconnected to the main plot. Logan, on the other hand, while being unavailable throughout most of the game, had much more impact on the entire story. In fact, he's one of the main driving forces. That's why, in my personal opinion, romancing him was somehow more satisfying. To be completely honest, with the way the main story is constructed, romancing Logan makes the most sense for me. He is foreshadowed in Portia, he already appears in the opening scene of Sandrock, and there's quite a lot of tension between him and the Builder. So yeah, if in Evershine every core romanceable character is similarly strongly connected to the main plot, we're gonna have a perfect situation. But from a storytelling point of view. Of course, I understand that making them all equally significant might be difficult. I do suspect that Victor, who is still being kept a closely guarded secret, is going to be a special case though. He is probably going to be that one special character. We still only know his name, his silhouette, and we know his belt buckle is gonna be grey. But that's it. That doesn't mean that our imaginations don't run wild. The current conspiracy theory about him is that he is actually the legendary first builder, mentioned in the time capsule quest in Sandrock. The quest where Mian finds a time capsule from the times of the first builder, Victor, and she opens it and together we look inside. So the theory is that Victor is actually Victor the First Builder, who for some reason spent a long time in a hypersleep chamber and just recently woke up, and that the eyes we see at the very end of the trailer actually belong to him. It's just a theory, but to be honest, I like it. Anyway, I think that's enough rambling from me. There's still a week left until the Kickstarter campaign ends, and anything can happen in a week. Currently, I'm playing both Portia and Sandrock, and I plan to prepare a summary of the most important events from both games, just as a reminder, but we'll see how it goes. So, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in my next video. Take care.